Hello once again, everyone. My name is Rudy6, and we are back with an episode of the Bodcast. We are about to get it crack-a-lackin'. Hope you're ready.
I need your attention. And we gon' have a toast for all my extra motherfuckers coast to coast out here doing the mo. Give us some more. I need more. Need more art, need more strange, need more niggas trying to rearrange, need more money, need more honey.
So this week I am broadcasting from beautiful Daly City up here in Northern California. I'm up in the Bay Area. I'm up here for the weekend celebrating my homegirl Charlotte. She is having a little celebration because she got her teaching credentials, so snaps to her. Hey. And we're just having a little barbecue, having a little drinky time, a little smoky time, seeing some friends that I haven't seen in a while. We're just going to have a good one. So I'm going to be popping in and out of this room as I get more and more intoxicated to just do this podcast today. I figure that this is a quality damn format to do it, so we're going to get into it. And before I jump into our actual theme for today, which is all about the idea of totems, and I'm talking about totems from like the movie Inception, where they had those little devices, like Homeboy had that spinny top that would always let him know whether or not he was in a dream or in reality. But I want to talk about the idea of totems as they pertain to just things that keep us grounded in reality. So we're going to take a little deep dive today, but before we get into that, I need to let y'all know about this last plane ride I had. So I was sitting behind a row of three people. Well, I mean, most people riding fucking coach like I am are sitting behind three people. But there are three people in front of me. There was one Asian dude. He's probably like between 15 and 17, sitting next to me. And then there were these three kids behind me. And I'm talking like kids like between the ages of 13 and 17, somewhere there. They were like siblings. And then I had, a black dude next to me who was just, watching Handmaid's Tale and not being a fucking problem. So thanks for that. So the three people in front of me, I realized were in an open relationship because it was a girl in the middle and then two boys on the side of her. Before the flight took off, she like turned to the dude next to her, gave him a little smooch on the lips. And then probably like 30 minutes into the flight, she turned and gave old boy to the right some Mac in action. So I just thought that was nice. Welcome to 2018. They weren't a problem at all. I did have a dark thought though. They were sitting in the row, the emergency exit row. And for a good chunk of the flight, I was just thinking about how, like, if they really wanted to just fuck shit up, they could just pull that emergency lever and just Final Destination this plane real fucking quick. You ever have that? You ever just, like, experience when, like, you just think about dark things? Like, maybe you're driving. I do this a lot when I'm driving on city streets, and there's, like, pedestrians and shit, and I'm just thinking, like, if I really wanted to, I could just mow down this group of people right now. But I don't do it because I just wouldn't do that. But I think about that whenever I'm on long like road trip drives and I'm driving up a winding mountain. I constantly think about, and not even in like a suicidal way, but I constantly think about like I could just drive this car into a ravine and probably like not live. Or if I'm driving like on a bridge over the fucking ocean, terrifying. But I'll think about that too. If I could like just said screw it and just drove right off the edge into the fucking Hudson. I don't live in New York, but that's a body of water that could fuck my life up. So they weren't really a problem. Honestly, the only people that were actually a problem were the kids behind me. But old boy next to me was so fucking funny. He had a noodle neck. He kept dozing off, and he would do that thing like I would do it a lot when I would like doze off in class, and like my head would start to fall forward and I would like snap up, and that the snapping up motion would be like my way of trying to just be very visibly awake because I don't want people to know that I was asleep. But that movement is so like, bitch, you were obviously knocking the fuck out. So he was doing this, I shit you not, at least 3 times a minute. He would like just jerk his head back up. And throughout the flight a few times, he would tend to the left. I was sitting in the middle of these two people, so he would tend to the left, and his head would just start to fall, and then he would just snap it the fuck back up. And I swear, I really thought he was gonna get, I thought he was gonna fucking snap his neck. But a few times he like touched down onto my shoulder, and homeboy felt so damn awkward every single time that he did it. And he never said shit. I never said shit. It didn't really bother me. It was just like, I've been there. I get it. I doze often and frequently. So, do what you got to do. But if he lingered for too long, I would have been like, sir, I ain't your man. I was hoping that I would have at least gotten a man who was at least like of age. I'm certain this was a teenager, so I was like, no, thank you, just across the board. But if I got like a sexy man that was dozing off, he would have, as soon as he touched that shoulder, my hand would have been on his head, like, oh, just rest your head, Connor. Rest your weary head, Paul. It'll be just fine. We're gonna get through this flight together. It'll be fabulous. But these motherfucking kids, man. So there was a little boy behind me. During the flight, I just started feeling, I don't know, there's just this drumming on the back of my chair. And I was like, I know good and damn well I ain't gonna have to be a problem on this flight. But kid was just drumming, tapping to some tune on the back of my chair. I didn't know that there were 3 kids. I thought there were 2 boys and a girl, and I thought the girl was actually grown. So I was about to turn around and try to teach somebody how to raise their fucking child, but I turned around and saw that they were all kids, and I just gave the little boy a look, and I just said, please stop. And he did. It was fine. But, they were just loud and obnoxious, which was not an issue until my fucking earphones died.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Dude! It's Mikel and Charlotte. We are here on the fucking Bodcast. We just figured this shit out, and if Dwayne's mad, like, I hope that you're not mad, but this is fucking dope for
he can't be mad
all of us.
Because he loves us very much.
Well, yeah, and this is also dope for, like, literally all of us.
We're, like, living through him.
What time is it? Oh my god, it's like 8:40 p.m. and it's
San
so
Francisco,
light out.
California.
Dude, we're in SF. It's Charlotte's Credential Barbecue. We are here. We are here. It's magic. Times are magical.
It is.
I don't know about you, but I'd invested in me. Keep throwing down all my truth. Let's set somebody free. Go ahead, observe the groove. Or get up under your feet. And the choice been yours. Can you commit to the beat?
So whether you believe in it or not, whether it runs your life or you do it casually, I'm going to be framing some themes around different astrological seasons, if you will. So this episode is actually going to be premiering right around the start of Leo season. When I think of Leos, I think of, it's a fire sign. They're the lions, they're the prides, the kings and queens, and everything in betweens of the motherfucking jungle. And I just think of Leos as being, very assertive, very alpha, people that are going to really make sure that they're advancing themselves in whatever industry that they take on. They're going to be putting themselves forward in any way that they can. So I'm going to be centering a lot of these conversations during the month of July and August, during this Leo season, around the theme of my song, I'd Invest in Me. So we're going to be talking about different things that we can do to invest in ourselves. And one thing, I wanted to start with something pretty simple, pretty direct, so it's not going to be a very long segment, but I wanted to talk about the idea of totems. So as I mentioned before, totems are things that we have heard talked about in things like, the movie Inception. They were the things that kept people grounded in reality, or kept people aware of whether or not they were in reality or in a dream state. So, I want to pose the question to you guys, like, what is it that keeps you grounded in reality? Is it music? Is it like a specific artist? What keeps you calm in traffic? What keeps you from not popping your boss in the mouth when they're saying something fucking sideways to you at work? What keeps you from not just giving the best read of your life to an ignorant motherfucker on the train or a customer that comes into your workplace? What is it that keeps you rooted in reality, focused on your goals? So these totems can be things, like I said, music. They can be people. Maybe you're thinking about your kid and how, you got to make sure that you keep this job so you can put some food in that baby's mouth. Maybe it's knowing where this job or where this moment, where this interaction can lead you. So maybe you're, sacrificing your desire to slap the shit out of somebody because you know that this is going to be a means to an end. What is it that keeps you grounded in reality, focused on what your goals are? I think of totems as being things as simple as crossing paths with a butterfly on the fucking street. That's something that always does it for me. It always just brings a little bit of peace to me, and I just see butterflies as these sort of almost cosmic little creatures that are that cross my path just to usher me along to the next thing, just to sort of see me through to the next phase or the next step of my day or my week or my month, whatever the hell it is. And it's because it's a power that I invest into that item or into that person or into that moment or into that song. And when I invest a little bit of myself into these things, I can see almost a reason for why it exists, or a reason for why it's calming me down. It's something that just pulls me back a little bit. When I think about totems, I think about not only things that keep me calm in very tense times, I also think about totems as being things like habits that keep me on track. So people that do shit like meal prep, or, they have like their fitness routine. Like for me, I need to make sure I get my ass into the gym first thing in the morning, because it's not happening at the end of the day. It's just not going to fucking do it. My brain cannot conceive the idea of getting back into the fucking gym at the end of the day, at the end of a long work day sometimes. Sometimes I can, pull that shit out of the bag and make it work, but I widely prefer to just knock it out at the start of the day before the voice in my head that says, bitch, we ain't going to the motherfucking gym, before that motherfucker wakes up. So I try to just knock it out before, these voices in my head start to just run shit. Totems are things that can really help us achieve our goals. Doing this podcast, the Bodcast, is something that I see as being a totem for me as well. It's something that's going to keep me striving toward my goal. And, I'll also say that being someone that has lived with depression and anxiety, those experiences have me sort of living in fear of what Mr. RuPaul calls my inner saboteur, that voice in my head that sort of drags me back down into depression, because that bitch has wrecked me before. And because, you think about depression, you think about having really low lows, but you think about when people come out of depression, they experience high moments of ecstasy, really high highs. But the high highs are almost dampened because we have an awareness of the fact that high highs are always followed up with low lows. So it's a very tedious sort of line to walk, trying to maintain that sort of happiness. And people always say, well, just get out of your head, live in the moment. But it's hard to just do those things. So I think about that mental game as well, because even when I'm being very productive, when I'm getting a lot of shit done musically, just creatively, doing things like my songs, my podcast, connecting with different family, and even just working on my relationships in that sense, I'm working on not living in a fear or a concern of fucking shit up. I'm working on really enjoying those moments of high productivity and really focusing on how to extend that, instead of worrying so much about what am I going to do that's going to fuck this up? What is going to inevitably cross my path that's just going to tank the whole operation? So it's a big battle of really trying to work on controlling that sort of mentality. And I think totems help us do that. And totems can be habits. This fucking podcast here, doing this shit every week, hopping on the mic, talking my shit out, getting it out of my head and into the ether, and sharing it with people allows me to sort of break these notions in my mind that I'm the only person going through this shit, or that this shit is insurmountable. Because when I get it out of my head and into the atmosphere, it helps at that point. And then when I share it with others, when I allow it for other people, I give it up and I give control away from it. I let it be real and tangible, and I don't let it define me, but I let it be a means of being able to connect with other people. And it becomes less scary, it becomes less terrifying. So totems can do incredible things for us. They can keep us peaceful, or they can advance our psyches or our career paths. They can do so much for us, but it's all about the power and the emotion that we choose to invest in those things. So I want to ask you, what are things that keep you grounded in reality? What is your totem? Who is it? Is it a fucking song? There's this Italian composer named Ludovico Einaudi. I listen to this motherfucker all the time, and I have since I was in 6th grade, but he keeps me so peaceful, so calm, and for years now, he's been someone that I've been able to go to after just very exhausting moments of emotional release, or just high energy work. Things that just leave me exhausted, both mentally and physically and emotionally, spiritually, all of it. But when I get into a hot shower and I just let that shit play, cut the lights out, I call it a pitch black shower. I fucking love it. But when I do that, it just takes me the whole hell out of reality for a second. And by taking me out of reality, it's allowing me to stay grounded in it, because it's not letting me get lost in the shuffle of what's going around me. It's allowing me to center myself and find peace in the chaos for a moment. and it's like hitting a reset button. It's like hitting that motherfucking checkpoint on like Mario Kart or Crash Bandicoot. It gives you that reassurance that you're not going to lose the beauty that you had before that moment. You're going to hold on to all that strength and all that power, and you're going to be able to keep on fucking trudging ahead. So what's your totem? What's your totem? What keeps you on that high? What keeps you from that low? You know what I'm saying? But really, look into that. Watch your habits. Pay attention to yourself. And see what it is that you need to stay right. And keep that shit in flight. I got a flight in the morning. I'm going to be so drunk for it. I cannot fucking wait. But yeah, as always, my name is Rudy Six, and we're going to keep it rocking. I have a very special guest joining me for a really dope interview in our next segment. So stay tuned. And again, it is Leo season. We are talking about how we can invest in ourselves. The song you're hearing this episode is called I'd Invest in Me. It was produced by Mr. Carlton Fresh, and it was also mixed and mastered by the homie Mellow Thing. We're going to keep it rocking. You're listening to the Bodcast, and my name is Rudy Six. We'll be right back.
Ain't ready when it getting to yell. Icarus stay fly then fail. We turning and burning the bullshit off of our backs. We learning and earning the scars to heal and relax. We speaking the freaking to let it guide us right. We beating the beating, we getting real good in life. Hey, don't do it, baby.
So on this week's episode of the Bodcast, I wanted to do something a little bit different. Since we're talking about the idea of totems and things that sort of just keep us grounded in reality, keep us focused, and that just keep us advancing toward our goals when things can get a little bit chaotic, I have to acknowledge that, some of my best totems are the friends that I keep. So I actually have a really good homie of mine. His name is Josue.
What's up?
There we go. Josue is here. We're both up here in San Francisco celebrating our homegirl Charlotte getting her teaching credential, and I asked him to prepare a few interview questions for me. But before we dive into all of that, y'all should just know that Josue is the motherfucking homie. He's one of the best friends that I've ever had, and he saw the creation of Rudy. Happened on a very faded night, and it was a good time.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to have him tell you a little bit about just what he does professionally, where he's at in life, and then we're going to dive into this hard-hitting motherfucking 60 minutes interview. It won't be 60 minutes, but... So let's wait, tell the people what you got going on.
What's up? Well, first of all, thank you for having me and featuring me on your podcast.
Show enough.
Yeah, so I'm a digital producer in advertising. Selling people happiness and love,
Boom.
Things that will make them happy and all that. I used to work out here in Huntington Beach, California, but recently relocated to New York. So experiencing and the cultures and everything that's out there. And I think it's just good to, get away from where you started for a little bit and then kind of like lose yourself in a different world for a new experience. So.
Absolutely. And talk about like being in a new place where, just talk about the idea of totems and keeping yourself grounded. So how long have you been in New York now?
It's been about a year since last June.
It's been a year already?
1 year already, yeah. It flew by so fast.
That's a trip.
Yeah.
You're just back home so damn often.
I am. Some would say I'm bi-coastal, so... working Monday through Friday in New York, and then on the weekends I'm back here in California.
So no,
Yeah.
cause
visiting family and stuff like that. So.
Can't get enough.
Yeah.
So how you enjoying New York life?
It took a little bit to get used to. It's definitely a different pace out there. Everyone's out there like trying to go out for their own goals and dreams, and so it's like, it's not. You can't be mad at them for that because everyone's like pursuing their dreams and doing what they want to do. But it does make it a little difficult to meet people and things like that. But outside of that, like, it's just exploring and finding like your own place within New York.
Dope.
So it's been an interesting transition. Definitely California boy for sure. I love California.
It's great.
But
every time I leave the state and come back, I miss assholes.
Yeah.
I miss the assholes here in Southern California.
I miss driving my car. Damn it.
Straight. Yeah. What's that? How's the subway like?
Public transportation is fun to a certain degree. But
Well,
it's super packed. There's a lot of people all the time. Sometimes I have to take a couple buses before I can get onto my route. But it's convenient because like what time it's gonna be showing up, and so it's like, all right, I know I have to be there at this time and stuff like that. Whereas like I'm not stuck in traffic in a way.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So speaking about the idea of like totems, what's when you're feeling like you're getting sort of lost in the shuffle in New York, or when you're feeling homesick? What's your totem? What's something that keeps you rooted in reality?
Ooh, rooted in reality. I see what you did there.
Rudy Six, bitch.
That's a good question. I thought I was doing the interview.
I know. I'm just always Oprah ready.
I think just remembering like why I'm there for that time, because I feel like I don't think New York is a permanent decision for me.
Yeah.
It's more of a temporary, like I'm here temporarily and stuff like
A
that.
means
So,
to the next step.
yeah, it means to the next step. So I think just constantly reminding myself like, hey, this is for a little while, but embrace it while you're here. Might as well.
Absolutely.
And so I tend to do that even with dreams. I know that I'm the only one out there, and so when I dream of other people, and I'm like, wait, did that really happen or not? But it's like, no, you're literally over there by yourself. So obviously that was a dream or something like that. So
Sure enough.
yeah, that's what it is right now.
It's a process.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing process. I totally get that. Great. So glad to have you here.
Glad to be here.
Glad this weekend was able to work out. So he's got some questions for me. He's gonna give me the whole Diane Sawyer treatment, and we're gonna peep this interview.
This is my 2020, right?
This is it. Hard hitting journalism right here.
So I'm gonna go ahead and ask this one, but we'll probably revisit it at the end.
Dope.
To keep the suspense going and people be like, oh, keep listening. But first of all, when we think of inspirations or souls that inspire you, Rudy, who would you say would be on your Mount Rushmore? So marinate on that for a little bit. Think about that.
Okay, so my four Mount Rushmore, the four people that would make up the Mount Rushmore of Rudy Six.
Exactly.
Mount Rudemore, Mount
Rudemore,
Mount Sixmore, Mount Rush Six.
Oh, maybe you could have 6 people.
Oh shit.
That'd be.
Oh damn.
Adding 2 to the side.
Do we have the? All right,
some space.
fuck it. Let's use that taxpayer money for 2 more motherfuckers. Okay, great. I'll think on 6 people for the Mount Rudemore, and I'll have that for the end.
No, let's go with the fun one though. That is a fun question.
Sure enough. What you do?
So, drag queens, baseball players, and boxers all have something in common: a walkout song. What's yours?
Oh,
I think the people want to know.
What's my walkout song? Oh damn! You know what that made me think of? It made me think of Leslie Knope in Parks and Rec at the ice skate.
Your feet.
Get on your feet. Get up and make it happen. I think for me, shit. What's a song? What's my walkout song? You know what? I just discovered. There's this bounce artist. I don't know if you know about it. Do you know who Big Frida is?
I don't. Actually.
She's a bounce artist. She's from New Orleans, Louisiana. But Big Frida is just a loudmouth, dope bounce artist, and she put out this like ratchet Christmas song, and I just discovered this song recently. But the first track on that Christmas album is it's called Rudy the Big Booty Reindeer. And you best believe I am planning some Christmas shit to incorporate that into.
Walk out
So
for sure to that
I will, year round, I don't care what season is, I will walk out to Big Frida's Rudy the Big Booty Reindeer.
Now, does she embrace the Frida? Is it like Frida Kahlo?
No, it's not. It's spelled different. It's spelled like
okay.
the name Frida. It's Freedia.
Okay.
So it's spelled differently than Frida Kahlo. So,
Yeah.
but who knows? She might have some Frida Kahlo reference up in her shit. She's a smart bitch. But that'll be my walkout song.
That'd be your walkout song. You
Rudy,
heard it here first.
Rudy the Big Booty Reindeer by Big Frida. I was gonna say by Frida Kahlo.
Frida Kahlo. All right. So for those of you that don't know, Rudy Six Body School is now out with 18 fire tracks.
Mm-hmm.
I had a previous conversation with you about this, and you had mentioned that you really, really resonated with Inner Route 4.
Ah, yes.
So we're curious, why do you resonate so much with this track?
So I have 12 main tracks on Body School, and then there's 6 tracks that I call interludes instead of interlude, because I'm a crafty bitch, you know what I'm saying? And then Interlude 4 is called Bombshell Babs, and it started out as, it was actually a poem that I wrote in this, in like a creative writing class that I had in college, and it's just so, it's very personal, so it's inspired by a lot of things, but the storyline in it is basically about a child's attachment to a little boy's attachment to something like a Barbie doll, and how it becomes this toxic thing based on how other people perceive that.
Like societal views, basically.
Yeah, like how little boys shouldn't play with Barbies. Get your ass in motherfucking Hot Wheels and be a man. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So it's about that, but it became this. It's a track that I produced with the help of my homie Mello Thing. He added some dope percussion to it that really gives it a fun bounce, and it makes it really dope to dance to. But I just tried a lot of different shit with it, and it's a really fun story. It's a fun story, and it gets a little bit dark, but more than just about being, the place that I put my frustration where, I was, I had issues with my dad when I played with Barbies as a kid.
Yeah.
And, he'd get home and I'd throw that shit under the bed, pull out the Hot Wheels. And
Oh, so you were self-aware of that.
Oh, yeah. I remember being like 7 years old and hearing that gate close and being like, I know damn well I ain't gonna let this nigga see me with my sister's Malibu bitch Barbie. It was terrifying. It was.
Yeah. No, I bet that was an environment.
It was a really like deep-seated like anxiety that I had, but I've talked about my relationship with my dad on a previous episode, and we've gotten a lot better in that regard. Ain't no hiding my ass in the house. He better just fucking deal with it. But yeah, that song's it's just really personal to me. So as I've gotten older, it also became a tribute to just women and female friends that I've had in my life that have made it a lot easier to be openly gay in the way that I am. In today's society, so it's for the ladies, it's for my younger self, and it's for my number one lady, which is my mom. So
I was gonna say, nice.
Mama Six, shout out to you, girl.
So would she be your Barbara?
She'd be my number one. I'd have an assortment of Bombshell Barbaras in my Barbara collection, which sounds very like possessive of women and very Handmaid's Tale-ish, so let's not do that. But if I had like a MySpace top 32 of women in my life, she'd be at the top, and then all my other lady friends would be filling out the rest of that list. So shout out to you ladies for just being dope and not being afraid of fabulous feminine energy. Do your thing.
Dope. And then can you remind us, where can we find Body School?
Ooh, you can find Body School on your local internet. You can hit up the iTunes. You can hit up the Google Play Store. There's an app called Deezer that I straight up didn't know about till I got my shit on there. So check out those things. You can also Shazam it. So, play that shit in the car with a friend and be like, ooh, who sings this song? Let's Shazam it. And you can find Rudy Six through that shit, too.
Through a Snapchat or through the Shazam app?
The Shazam app, yeah.
Okay.
Like, you can, like
so
that.
I know you can do it on both now.
You can Shazam on Snapchat?
Yeah, you can.
Well, they're trying to undo that shit they tried to pull with that Chris Brown Rihanna filter. Do you see that shit?
No.
They put up this they promoted this filter where basically you can, it's like choosing sides. Like, who would you rather hit, Chris Brown or Rihanna?
What?
And it used the picture of Rihanna's fucking
Is
beat
that
mug.
okay? That's
no,
okay.
hell no.
It's not okay, but is that even allowed to be posted? Like,
I mean, the internet is a lethal place,
that's
so
ridiculous. I'm sorry.
we're gonna try to live.
Yeah.
Bitch better have my money.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, just I guess going back to one of those memories, similar like what you were just saying about interview 4. Any advice you would give your younger self, looking back on it?
I would tell my younger self to pay attention. Pay attention to your habits. Pay attention to your moods, because when I'm in talking about this idea of totems, I have to remind myself
bring it back to that
to always come back, and it's a daily process because my mind. I'm a very I fly by the seat of my pants. I can be very inconsistent at times, and I'm getting better at these things because I'm observing myself and I'm observing my habits. And I'm observing the moods, the feelings that I have when I'm entering this less inspired place, this self-sabotaging place, this destructive place. And the more that I acknowledge those signs, the more I can do things to pull myself out of it.
Okay.
So like when it's hard to get up out of bed some days, I can, I'm working on reckoning with that a lot more, whether it's just having something in my schedule that I cannot miss. I have to get up and get the fuck to work, or get up and go to a family function. So I would just tell my younger self, trust your intuition also, and pay attention to yourself. Pay attention.
That's really, really cool. I haven't ever heard that response for that type of question. And so I think that's very important. I don't know. Because we get so lost in like what we're doing, and so it's like being able to pull yourself from that reality almost also to really ground yourself again. And
something about like even our generation, just how we grew up and where we're at now, like I've seen the transition with my mental health from before cell phones were popping to now, and I see how much I'm checking Instagram too often to see how many likes I'm getting. When I get it's a more satisfying feeling when I just wait. We post something, wait 4 or 5 hours, and then bitch, look at all that love I got. Look at all them comments. So I'm trying to remember those moments, and I talk to myself. I talk to myself so much because I have to, because I feel like that's where Body School came from. It was me. It was my most healthy mind talking to my most toxic mind.
Wow, that's cool.
To try to be like, listen, you're okay. you just get off your ass. You are loved. You are talented. You got good shit. You got good ideas. Just stand in that.
Yeah.
And rock that shit out. So.
All right, I think we're gonna get back to this question about when you think about inspirations or souls that inspire you. Who would be on, what do we call it? Rudy Moore?
Mount Rudemore. Mount
right.
Body School. I don't know.
You're Mount Rushmore. You're
six motherfuckers carved in the mountainside.
And not colonizers.
And not, we will not be choosing colonizers today, bitch. Columbus, take a seat. Find a real continent, bitch. One that came to mind first is, this is the first celebrity that passed that I cried about.
That it hit home, yeah.
That it hit home.
I was just having this conversation with people yesterday.
About celebrity deaths?
Celebrity deaths and how some of them just really impact the person.
Yeah.
Like, even though you've never met them or know, you know what I mean? But you just 100%. Resonated with them.
So much.
So who was yours?
Aaliyah.
Oh, wow.
Aaliyah was the first artist that, like, I just fucked with her so much. I just loved her style. I loved her music. And I didn't realize how big a fan I was of her until I got the news that she died. And it was just this whole feeling of, like, oh fuck! Like I missed it. Like yeah. I missed out on like what I really thought about this artist, or how I really felt. So Aaliyah's one. Let's see, an old school artist that I was pretty much raised on was Stevie Wonder.
Nice.
Like I was, some people were raised in Beatles households. Some people were raised in Christian rock households.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised in a Motown and jazz household. So Stevie Wonder was I just thought he was the shit. I still do. Like,
yeah.
I got to see him at Life is Beautiful.
That's right.
For the first time, I think in 2014 or 15. I think it was 2014. I think it was the year after I graduated college.
I just saw him in New York last year, too.
You did?
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was cool.
Isn't he awesome?
Yeah, he was amazing.
What a fucking legend. So, Aaliyah, Stevie Wonder.
It's going to cost extra for the shades, though.
It will. Is it? Damn, I know. He got some accessories. With his predator braids. He knows what's up. Let me see. Freddie Mercury. 100%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch his new movies coming out.
Absolutely. Yeah. When they were originally talking about it, they were saying that Sacha Baron Cohen was going to be playing him, which I thought looked cool, but I don't know if I would want to see that.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, like I don't know about him in serious roles. I also haven't seen him in many, but homeboy from Mr. Robot is going to be playing Sacha Baron Cohen, who I think is just fucking hot as shit. My God. Or he's going to be playing Freddie Mercury. So Aaliyah, Stevie Wonder, Freddie Mercury. Oh, this is pretty stacked. Gaga.
Oh, of course.
Of course, the Gags. You know
yeah,
probably better than anyone else. She got me through real rough shit. I think most queer people have a musician or an artist that like pulls them through that journey. I think most people in general do, but I ain't talking to straight people right now. I'm just playing. But yeah, Gaga I have loved her music. Sometimes some seasons more than others. But she's been a fucking rock. Recently, who I've really gotten into that I definitely didn't listen to a whole lot of 90s rap growing up, but I've recently been getting into Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Oh, wow, okay.
Their flow, their cadence, they have super deep lyrics that like, and the way that they just spit, it's just go. I love their flow. I think they were so ahead of their time. I've been listening to their East 1999 album, which is I think their second album that they put out back in 1999, and just hear it. I'm like, I could hear that shit now and feel like it's right on time. I feel like they were so ahead of the game. So they're two people, but they're filling one spot. So you better go.
Yeah, we'll put two heads in one box.
That's it. We'll do like a American Horror Story with the Bet and Dot Tatler, the twins. So okay, Aaliyah, Stevie Wonder, Freddie Mercury, Gaga, Bone Thugs. I need one more. I know I'm forgetting someone. I want to pick a funny person, like a comedian.
Ooh, that could be cool.
Because comedy is just so important to me. I really think is funny, and I think passed away too soon, was Bernie Mac.
Oh, yes.
I thought Bernie Mac was the funniest. His show, his stand-up. And you know who actually reminds me of a young Bernie Mac? Fucking Michael Che.
Oh, yeah.
I think Michael Che is really fucking funny. and just really smart, really poignant. But I'd say, granted, I haven't seen all of Bernie Mac stand up, and I'm sure it is problematic as a motherfucker. But I think I was definitely raised in I think Bernie Mac is probably my dad's favorite comedian too. But I just think he's a funny
that'd be a
bitch.
nice touch.
Right?
That you connected with your father in that
Yeah,
way.
I don't remember. I just remember specifically like seeing the show with him. Like he would always, my dad would come home in like a mood, so I would like to have to like put something on just to lighten the fucking mood. You know what I'm saying? So we would watch shit like South Park or Family Guy together, just trash TV. And then we would also watch Law and Order. But whenever Bernie Mac was on a stand-up thing or a Bernie Mac show, you know, before the easy ass streaming days. I would just put that shit on and be like, all right, I know you had a rough day at work, nigga, but just watch this bit, motherfucker, and get some laughs, and we'll be fine. So I'd say, I think that's it. I think that's my...
That's awesome.
As of right now, in July of 2018, that is my Mount 6 motherfuckers on a mountain.
And we can always carve them out and put new ones up there and stuff like that. But
you know, or maybe we'll get a bigger budget and be able to just expand them out.
Exactly.
Just take over the whole state of North Dakota.
I think it's North or South.
Shit, I used to know
one
this.
of the Dakotas.
One of the Dakotas.
Not Fanning.
Not
You just
You beat me, bitch. Oh my god.
That's funny. You mentioned like a lot of funny shows and comedy taking such a role in your life. How does it play in with music?
Oh god. A song of mine isn't done until it's got punchlines in there.
Got it. Okay.
It just and I think comedy was just such a defense mechanism for me for so long. Like I wouldn't know how to process moments, or I wouldn't know how to take responsibility for certain things, so I would try to make jokes out of them, or I would try to make them funny. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to find ways to incorporate that into my music in a real way.
Yeah, like a more natural way. Or,
yeah. But I'm also trying to find ways to not need to do it when it's just me putting on a mask. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when I'm using it to sort of dodge a situation or get out of something, I try to not do it in that way, because it's not what I'm trying. It doesn't serve me to not address that issue that I'm dealing with, and just making jokes about it. So I try to get it out in my music. I try to get it out in these grinder conversations. I just try to get it where I can. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just not take life so seriously.
You gotta laugh every day, at least.
And I think more so than anything else, when I'm singing, when I'm working on music, that's when I'm taking myself way too seriously as a human in general, as an artist in general. So having a comedic outlet in my music or just in my life allows me to not. It's that balance of not having to take myself so seriously. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because comedians are self-deprecating in a lot of different ways, and I'm just trying to find that balance, walk the line.
That's awesome. Well, I think we're going to wrap this up with one last question.
Fabulous.
The advice you would give future Rudies of the world.
The advice
You've gone through this creative journey throughout your whole life. You have Rudy 6 now. You're putting out your album. Mm-hmm. And it took a lot of work. You know what I'm saying? So it's like people that are going through this process right now and trying to find themselves, like what would you...
So you're saying future Rudies. You're saying like people that have a similar thought process to me in some ways. Patience. Find it. Find patience. Look for it anywhere. Just try to manifest patience in your life, because I'm such a neurotic person. You know, as a Cancerian, we're known to be very emotional and affectionate people. We want to take care of people. We want to check in. We want everyone to always. We want to always know how everyone's feeling, and we always want to make sure that everyone is feeling positively about us. So I would say work on patience and let go of control. Ooh. Because doing those two things has allowed me to get out of my head with this whole process, not be so uptight about not doing every single thing, not producing every single beat, not, you know, it's okay to have to
delegate a little bit.
Yeah, delegate, or even just work with other people.
Collaborate.
Working with my homies Carlton Fresh and Mellow Thing, they both produced tracks for me on this project, and working with them in this capacity and putting this whole project together with 3 different perspectives from a production standpoint has allowed me to understand that the way I'm feeling and the way that my mind works and my artistry, it is unique, but it's not alone. Mm-hmm. I can work with other people, and I can expand the stories that I want to tell through music.
Yeah, it even elevates the entire project.
Exactly. Yeah. Even stuff like this, even like this podcast, like I could be very anxious and apprehensive about it, and be like, no, I have to say everything. I have to, you know, have the right answers and the wrong answers, and prepare the arguments and the rebuttals, or I can just be like, hey, I'm going to be in San Francisco with my homie this weekend. Let me see if he's down to interview me.
Exactly.
So, and things can happen a little bit more organically, and I feel like that gives me peace, because it makes me believe that no matter what my success looks like, I can bring along the people that are important to me, or I can, and even if, it's not necessarily bringing along, I can, no matter how busy my schedule gets, I can find a way to connect with people that I give a shit about without hindering productivity. Like, we're hanging out, and I'm getting my podcast done right now. So all these things can happen at the same time if I just open myself up to that possibility. So be patient, let go of control, and bitch, stop forgetting that you're motherfucking the shit, okay? Everyone else will tell you, and it never means as much until you hear it from your goddamn self and believe it. So.
Hell yeah. So you heard it here. Hop on that bus and be patient. It's going to take a while.
We're going on a field trip, bitch.
Exactly, yeah.
On the magic school bus out here. No, it's just been a great process though. So I'm excited, especially doing something like this. I think is so important for this idea of totem. So we're gonna wrap up this portion of this episode of the podcast. Do you have anything else that you want to?
No, just thank you for having us. Keep hearing it up, and support other people as well.
Yeah,
support your friends. Literally,
support the people that ain't already got millions of followers. That ain't. Rihanna is fabulous, but she is good. She don't need you. She don't need you, bitch. Go listen to my shit. Turn on Spotify, turn that shit all the way down, and just let my album play on a loop for, till you need Spotify again. And then just keep doing that, and I will love you until the end of time. Do you want people to find you on social media? Or do you want to stay mysterious?
I want to stay mysterious.
All right, then that's going to happen. So you cannot find Josue on Instagram. I am your friend. Oh, no, these motherfuckers. All right, well, if I can speak, that's all, folks. So I want to say thank you to my homeboy Josue, one of my best friends since 2009? Did we
9
meet?
or 10.
9 or 10. So about 7-8 years.
Myself, we were 10.
Yeah. So it's about 8 years of friendship, and who knows how many more, millions more.
Fuck yeah.
So we're gonna keep it rocking. We will be back to wrap up the show. Hope you guys are having a good ass time. You're listening to the Bodcast, and I am Rudy 6. We'll be back.
Don't miss me like you missed the Bitcoin. Wait until everybody's on my dick, boy. Know you running out of time, running on a dime. Put your money where your mouth is, you know where it's been all night. Don't miss me like you missed the Bitcoin. Wait until everybody on my dick, boy. Running out of time, running on a dime. Put your money where your mouth is, you know where it's been.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us for another incredible episode of the Bodcast. I just have a couple of very quick announcements before I get y'all on up out of here. On August 18th, I will be hosting and performing in Function Presents Culture Couture, a fashion and art show. Once again, that will be August 18th in Santa Ana, California, beautiful Orange County. Just go ahead and save the date. Stay tuned for details on location and tickets and all that jazz. But we've been busy doing some promo for all this stuff. You can see a little bit of those previews on my Instagram at therudy6, TheRuDysix. Once again, I'm working with some incredible people. I'm working with Mr. David Lorenzo, who was featured on a previous episode of the Bodcast, as well as Mr. Carlton Fresh, two people that I thoroughly enjoy working with. We're partnering up with the incredible people over at Mika Studios to put on an incredible fashion and art experience for you all, and we're so excited to bring it to you. Once again, that is going to be August 18th in Santa Ana, California, in Orange County. And of course, the Bodcast was inspired by my album Body School, which is available on iTunes and many other platforms, the Google Play Store, something called Deezer, Tidal. Get your money, get it together, pay $6, get your life, and we're going to keep on rocking it out. I'm loving doing these episodes of the Bodcast for y'all. I hope you're having a phenomenal start to your week. Tear it up. As always, let us know what you think of the Bodcast. Feel free to email us at thebodcast6@gmail.com, TheBodcastsix@gmail.com. And once again, my name is Rudy 6. I hope you're having an incredible Monday. I want y'all to tear the fuck up. Find your totems. Let them get you through the day, through the week, through the month, through your life. And I hope you continue to invest in yourself. We'll catch you soon.
I'ma flip my mind, I'm a script rewrite. I've been redefining, finally realizing reality isn't final. Yeah. I'ma flip my mind, I'm a script rewrite. I've been redefining, finally realizing reality isn't final, man. I'd invest in me. I'd invest in me. I'd invest in me. What you want from me? I'd invest in me. I'd invest in me. What you looking for? Bitch, I'm everything. Bitch, I'm everything. Bitch, I'm everything. Bitch, I'm everything. I'd invest in me.